Hello, everyone. Sam Rodriguez here, the wingman to the one and only Ken Harrison, president and CEO of Promise Keepers, the mucho bueno hombre from Colorado.
I don't speak French. I don't know what that means.
That's actually from Stockton. It's like a special language for Stockton. Download it on your app, stockton.com. Ken Harrison, we just came out of, did I just say we just came out of Pride Month? All of that wording right there from the vernacular in itself has many implications. We just came out of Pride Month, and for the first time, we're seeing backlash. First time. Starbucks asking Pride paraphernalia to be tampered down a bit, the Target backlash, all of that. Have we reached a tipping point? Have we reached culturally a tipping point?
I think we have.
Why did it take so long? What's going on in the culture? Why the backlash? Because very few Americans are now vehemently opposed to same-sex marriage. The vast majority affirm it, and it's part of our law. It's the law of the land. So it's not that. It's not like Americans are now opposed to same-sex marriage. Quite the opposite. That number is steady and pretty solid. And it increases per generation, by the way, in America and in the Western world and Europe. So it's not opposition to same-sex marriage. I believe there's an opposition to a coercive campaign that lasts way more than just a month. But this over the top, it's not we're just celebrating same-sex marriage. We want you to affirm it, celebrate it, confirm it, embrace it, and elevate it. Am I wrong? And why the backlash now? Why now in 2023?
Man, I think, how did this all start? Like, you look, 20 years ago, it was like what two people do in the privacy of their own bedroom is their business, right?
Yes.
And I think reasonable people, I mean, even you and I mean, as conservative as I am, I believe that the gospel is about freedom. And if people want to be free to make dumb decisions, they should be able to do that, right?
When we talk about freedom, people have the freedom to go to hell.
Exactly.
Am I right or wrong?
Exactly.
Sure,
so I don't think we should have laws that say you can't gossip and you can't slander, right? Nor should we have laws saying you can't be gay. If you want to be gay, be gay. So I think reasonable people.
Now, I need you to put that in perspective. Very few in our audience would actually, well, very few in our, maybe you'd be surprised. Maybe you are surprised, but whether it's pleasantly surprised or non-pleasantly surprised, to hear Ken Harrison say this libertarian, and by the way, I agree with him. We've discussed this. A very libertarian, but biblically substantiated view of the world. The idea to create in every single dimension, primarily with adult behavior, not touching kids, what adults do in the privacy of their own bedroom. It's between them and God, right?
Yeah.
Two consenting adults, consenting between them and God. And laws, like right now there are laws in Africa that if you're gay, you can die.
Right.
Oh my gosh. What in the world's going on? Totally wrong. I totally disagree with these laws. And Christians should speak up against these laws. But then we have this unbelievable campaign of what? Conversion. Isn't this religion? It's no longer about two adults, and even though they had the victory in the Supreme Court of same-sex marriage, isn't this now religion? Don't we have a month of June? This is what upsets me, man. For an entire month, I'm getting preached to. And
Right.
then during Christmas or Easter, our Christian faith is negated. Do you follow what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah.
For 30 days, my children and my grandchildren, every time I go to a coffee shop, I go into Target, I'm getting a message. This is no longer about equality, because equality's there, Supreme Court decision. We already have that. What is this about? If it's no longer about equality, why is there a month dedicated to who you sleep with?
Because if we think if enough people agree on something that we override God.
Oh, that is so brilliant. Say that one more time, please.
If enough people agree on something, then we override God. So there's a demand, you must celebrate me. You must tell me I'm great. You must wear my paraphernalia. We'll all run around there. We'll override God.
So the kingdom of God is not a democracy.
That is exactly right.
Wow.
So that's
Brilliant.
why,
Brilliant.
and we're told, and you and I have talked about this before, you have to love everybody.
Indeed.
Yes. What does that mean to love? To love means to tell them the truth.
Yes.
So I talked earlier about, I said slanderers and gossips because we get that from 1 Corinthians chapter 6, this list of people
Yes.
who do not be deceived. This group of people will not inherit the kingdom of God. And on
Yes.
there we have adulterers, idolaters, the sexually immoral, practicing homosexuals, the verbally abusive, greedy people, thieves, and swindlers, right?
Yes.
So I pulled a Sam Rodriguez, man.
You did.
Yeah, so
Pretty
that was
impressive, by the
yeah,
way.
I almost, but
And for clarity, Raider fans are not on that list.
no, Raider fans are
They should have been
that is
included,
the
but they were
unforgivable-
not.
The unforgivable
And thank God
sin.
for God. Yes,
Yes,
true.
yeah, that and driving in the left lane of the freeway slowly. That
Are you sure it's not on the list? Maybe it should
Now,
be.
I want to point something out, though. And I told you I was going to surprise you with something if you don't know this already, which you probably do because you know everything. But I want you to look at this.
Okay.
How many colors do you see in that rainbow?
Well, two different shades of blue. We could argue blue. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
No, six.
Six. Well,
1,
that's two
2,
different
3,
shades.
4, 5, 6.
Yeah.
Do you know how many colors are in a rainbow? The real rainbow?
How many?
7. There are 7 colors in the actual rainbow. The teal color is missing from here on purpose. 7 is the perfect number, the number of God.
Correct.
6 is the number of man. That's why Antichrist is known as 666,
Right.
because it's the ultimate in man. So we have here, on purpose, they've removed a color from the rainbow. The gay rainbow only has 6 colors representing man instead of the 7 that represent God.
You know what? I wasn't aware of that.
I don't think most people are.
Wow.
Is that crazy?
It is crazy. I have a proposed idea for you. We're unleashing this exclusively on Daring Faith. Haven't shared this publicly at all.
Okay.
Exclusive. Ready for this? Equity. That's my idea. We launched a national campaign, and we're looking at Target. So, remember the whole Target debacle? The whole Target, there was a guy with definitive Satanist belief systems that incorporated Satanist plus pride elements in Target stores. And there was
That was one of them.
one of them. But there was
Target's
great-
managed to have a lot of
But
them.
there was great backlash
Yeah.
because there was like a Satanism pride element combined that wasn't there before. And one of their marketing guys. So they pushed back. And Target began to bring down some of the pride paraphernalia and supportive propaganda, religious coercive materials out there in their stores. Here's my issue. Let me surprise you. What if we asked Target, you want to celebrate Pride Month? Go for it. Do it. Give me 1 month. You give Pride Month 1 month of June, give traditional families the month of August or something. Equity. Give us equity. It's all about equity. If equity is the term of, if now part of the new politically correct diversity, inclusion, equity thesaurus, let's do it. Equity. I want a month. Give me a month. If you give them a month, give us a month. And why not? So I'm not asking them to stop celebrating Pride. If they're going to celebrate LGBTQ plus, celebrate traditional families.
And then they're going to go with traditional families means all families, and then gay people should be a part of that too.
Then why do we have a Pride Month if it's already part of the family? So the moment you celebrate one, the same thing with Black History Month. If you're going to celebrate Black History Month, there needs to be a Western European History Month. There has to be. Why? By the way, I was thinking on my way up here, why isn't there a Native American month? Stop for a second.
Yeah.
Why isn't there a Native American month? They were the ones that really got, I mean, African Americans, of course, slavery, egregious. But we killed, the white pioneers came in here.
Chief
And my
Joseph.
forefathers, the Spaniards, came in here, and they did the same thing. Why aren't we celebrating Native Americans for the entire month? Why are we selecting? And that's not equity. If we're going to celebrate this, give me a month. Target celebrating Christmas, real Christmas, the birth of the Messiah, Jesus, from December 1st. Give us, it's equity. If you're going to do this, let's launch a campaign for equity.
Can we get rid of all of them and just have every
Sure,
month be
but they
American
won't.
month?
Yeah, but that's not, that's utopia. It's the Morgan Freeman adage when he was interviewed on CNN, and they asked him Black History Month, and he said, why?
Yeah.
Why should there be a Black History Month? There shouldn't be. There should be a white. There shouldn't be. We're just all Americans. Just be you.
All the things that we do to separate ourselves are all damaging. The more we do to separate ourselves from being Americans, it's not that we get rid of other people's cultures. We honor everybody's culture.
Diversity's
But
beautiful.
when we say this month's all about your culture and this month's all about your culture, and then but if you're a Native American, actually you don't even get we don't celebrate your culture, even though you were it just causes all this resentment that we have.
We
throughout
celebrate
our culture.
diversity, but we have to stand on our unity. It's
Yes.
the unity. It's the unity. We celebrate diversity, but we stand on unity, on our common denominators. And how should Christians respond to this? So we have the Christians that don't even mention it in the month of June. Then we have some Christians, very few, de minimis, that go over the top and become very confrontational with the rhetoric and so forth.
Mm-hmm.
And that's unacceptable. How should what's a good, healthy place where Christians should deal with the coercion? So I'm going to ask you straight up. Ken Harrison, do Christians avoid Target? Yes or no? Go.
Yes.
Oh, snap.
I would never go there.
You didn't even think. But first of all, you can't find clothes your size. You're like 7 feet 9 inches. It's just like the tallest version of George Clooney. You ever see Ken Harrison and Sam Rodriguez in the same photo? Arnold Schwarzenegger and Danny DeVito. And I'm 5'9". This is not right. There's nothing righteous about this.
Remember when we did that film? We had you and A.R. Bernard with Chad Hennings in the middle. That was so stinking funny.
No, it was funny. Starbucks.
I don't go to Starbucks, but
Should Christians go into institutions, stores that for one entire month preach the gospel of pride?
I don't. I'm not going to tell other people what they should do. I don't go. But the problem is it's hard to go to any place that. So it's like if it's public for them, if it's in your face, then I just simply don't show up and I don't go there. And I will walk up and I will go to a restaurant and I see a rainbow in there and I'll turn and walk out.
But the number one month we celebrate in America as it pertains to colors, to the amount of dollars spent on advertisement, this is pretty amazing. It's about who you are intimate with.
All about money, man. And you know that.
But it's just to put this above everything else. Like Pride Month is bigger than Easter, bigger than Christmas, bigger than Halloween. Halloween gets a day. Thanksgiving gets a day. Other things get a day. This gets a month. Christmas gets a day. You're telling me that your sexual identity, it trumps absolutely everything in the universe. And then for 30 days, you get preached to. I argue, and I have gay friends. The vast majority of them go like, what? This is not what we signed up for. Not even what we fought for as it pertains to having civil unions or marriage or what so. Not at all. And finally, we're seeing a back. How far would the backlash go? Is it temporary or is it permanent?
Man, every time you see the pendulum swing and it comes back, it doesn't swing quite as far the way because we'll always compromise towards sin. But you said something.
Stop for one moment. You got to repeat that.
Every time that pendulum swings, people go, "Oh, it always swings back." It does always swing back, but it never swings back as
all
far
the way
because you've already opened up this door. The pendulum keeps on the momentum.
And we always compromise towards
sin.
Sin.
Always. You said something at the beginning I think is really important that we explore briefly, which is the instinct for a lot of Christians. And I believe that though I think Jezebel's spirit is really powerful today,
yep,
which is a spirit of sexual perversion and all that, and weak men and all that stuff that we should have an episode on that. But equally active and has been always is a religious spirit. And what religious people do, this is not Christian, it's not spiritual, it's a religious, is they want to control others. So we feel better when we have laws that make people behave the way we want them to behave, even though it's not real. So a lot of Christians look back and go, gosh, I wish it was the 1950s again. Well, the 1950s, people weren't any more spiritual than they are now. They were just more religious. So they adhered to the laws better, and it might have made us feel more comfortable because our world, our culture was more Christian. But the people's hearts were just as far from Christ in the 1950s and the 1740s and the 1000s as they are today. It's just that they're more overtly sinful today, more in your face. So our hearts break because we see the sin that in the 50s we didn't have to see. People were just as ugly in their hearts then as they are now. That's why I like where we stand today in one regard, in that at least we know where everybody is. So we know where the gospel is. And what we need to do is figure out, how do I turn people's hearts towards Christ? This was all of his argument with the Pharisees. They were all about their laws and their rules and getting everybody to obey. And Jesus was like, no, I want people to her heart to really be with me. That's why he said, You say don't commit adultery. I say if you've committed lust in your heart, then you've committed adultery. What's he saying there? He's saying, we get this wrong in the church all the time. If you could, if you could, you're just as bad.
Totally.
If you've never committed adultery because you've been on a desert island for your whole life by yourself, does that credit you that you were not an adulterer?
Totally.
No, you just didn't have the chance. So what's in your heart? Are you truly dedicated to Christ, to your wife?
So good.
Or are you always looking around for something else? And so I do think if you really love Jesus, you're going to mourn the sin that you see around you.
Wow.
But we shouldn't want to try to control people. If people choose to be gay, let them choose to be gay. But try to give them the gospel so that they won't choose to be gay.
This is why I love you, man. Because and you would, I expect this because I know you, but some would be pleasantly or unpleasantly, according to their worldview, right, surprised to hear Ken Harrison have a broad theological bandwidth, all biblically substantiated within the rails of orthodoxy, elevating the fact that people have choice.
Mm-hmm.
People do have choice. In the context of what we just discussed right now, and even in that component of religious coercion, constant propaganda, I would argue to a great degree, visual, aesthetic manipulation, constant bombardment. It took Bud Light to do what Christians could not do.
Yeah.
Isn't that ironic? It took a beer commercial or a beer company to trigger at least creating some rails on enough is enough.
It finally woke people up.
But why couldn't the church do that? Why did it take Bud Light's debacle, subsequently Target, to come to this moment of, culturally speaking, where we go like, guys.
And will we keep going?
Notice how Ken Harrison is saying, hey, these individuals have rights. Who you sleep with is between you and God, and government should not intrude. And you have rights that merit the collective protection of our Constitution, as already written. Mm-hmm. But do away with the whole, persuasion, the whole preaching, the whole coercive, manipulative sort of narrative that is continuously bombarding everything we do.
The celebration of it.
But
right?
Why am I required to celebrate who you sleep with?
Exactly right.
But again, equity. I want you to celebrate heterosexuality. Target should celebrate heterosexuality.
Yeah, and we disagree on that.
No,
I want you to stop celebrating anything.
I'm being
celebrate coffee.
No,
if you're Starbucks.
By the way, I will celebrate coffee. But I'm being sarcastic, facetious. But I'm trying to prove a point. If we're obsessed with equity, then go across the spectrum. If not, then we need to take some action and demand equity.
You'll never get enough microgroups. I mean, it's like that one comedian was joking about, why do the gays get June and blacks get February? He's like, blacks got way more oppressed than homosexuals. We gave them February. Like you can't do a march in February.
We can't. February's terrible.
Right? He's like, and he's making a joke about it.
No, I hear
it's kind of a funny joke, right? Like,
it is.
Why?
It isn't, but it is funny, but it isn't.
Right.
I mean, if there's ever a group that was oppressed in this country, it was African Americans. Absolutely.
And Native Americans.
And Native Americans, which don't get their own month. I am championing right here on Daring Faith. Enough is enough. Native Americans, their own month.
And what about Jews, too? I mean, we never bring up Jews because they're successful as an ethnic group. But
Jews are amazing, but they
got
suffered.
Brutally.
Holocaust, but way beyond that.
Just by the whole world, not just
continual
America.
Persecution since day one. Since the Egyptians, right? Here we are. So Jews should get their own month, too.
Yeah.
How about this?
What
California.
about the Irish?
I have this. How about the Irish for what? Closing down bars? What did Irish? Was that politically incorrect? How did Irish suffer?
Dude, if you look at all those old pictures, they all say no Jews, no blacks, and no Irish in the public pool, whatever.
That's actually where the phrase "paddy wagon" comes from New York back in the early Irish immigrants.
Yeah,
right?
the Irish. Everyone kind of forgets about how much the Irish got.
And then they became cops. The very ones that were hit by cops became the cops of New York City.
Let's just keep on picking out new oppressed groups. We're going all the way back. Group,
I'm telling you, like for example, we're discussing right now even this whole idea of public coercion, the public expression of religion. This is when you have the Baals and the Asherah poles and Jezebel promoting a religious context, attempting to have us convert. It's all about conversion. They do it better than we do. Final note on this as we wrap up. Why aren't we inundating the public sphere with promotional tools? Let me explain. I would argue every single Christian in the month of June should wear Christian beautiful t-shirts, redemptive, beautiful things about the grace of God, the power of transformation, the truth of the gospel, wherever you go. So go into Target if you want to go to Target. Wear the most beautiful Jesus is the only way shirt. Go into Target, go into Starbucks, wherever they celebrate, be it Pride Month or whatever month they call it. Go in there with a message of hope, love, transformation, unity. Call that out. How identity is found in the finished, vicarious, atoning work of Christ. Let's do this. We got to do this better than anyone else does it. We have the true good news, the gospel of Jesus. This whole thing about let's be silent, we are lambs, let's not be confident, let's not, what's that called? Fan the flame? Fan the flame of cultural wars?
Fan the flames of cultural wars.
What is
It means we made somebody feel uncomfortable with the
fan
gospel.
the flame of a culture war? Right. Okay, there it is. This is Daring Faith. That's Ken Harrison. I'm Sam Rodriguez. Let me tell you what we do here. We don't lean. We stand.